Do you see the stream?
Do I see the stream?
Yeah.
I have to pull it up momentarily. I will see it in a moment. Nope, let's go with this orientation. Orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Damn it. Now I'm streaming in vertical, violating my own rules. Twitch.tv/Initiative Coffee. That'd be awesome. What? Welcome all 46,000 of you. Hey everybody, it's Bill and Brian, and we're live on the D&D Twitch. Isn't that just the dream? Isn't that just what we should have? Live chat.
If I was gonna dream, I'd aim higher than the user count on the D&D Twitch.
True. Holy crap, I'm here. Yes, you are, Emrys. Welcome to the behind-the-scenes thing that's happening.
Look at the, do you see the...
Hold on, I have to log into Twitch because I'm simulcasting. Wait, that's not... I don't even know who I am anymore. Too many passwords and usernames. Well, thank you. Don't mind if I do. Start watching. Now I have to mute my stream audio so I don't create a... Oh, Crawf, I like that.
What?
Look at all that bokeh.
It's severe bokeh.
Terms.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
And that D20 keeps the shine off your head down.
Yeah. That nice morning shower that I had also did that. So if you're watching the behind the scenes, welcome. Brian and I will be live on twitch.tv/Initiative Coffee Co. So if you want to see the full epic multicam thing and not just this shot of my head and man boobs. See, look at the logo. One of my students made this logo. LTTV. This t-shirt's shot. Look
Watching an episode of Queer Eye where they talk about his man boobs.
Man boobs.
How his family loves him for his love of butter.
Man boobs.
Definitely.
Hi, the gaming tortoise. So what we do on the behind the scenes, if this is your first time clocking in behind the scenes, guys, I basically just make this so that I drive traffic over to the Twitch channel because this is just my phone streaming. So, oh, hey, Eric. Thanks for inspiring me to play D&D again. Now my kids play too. Awesome. That makes me happy. So Brian and I are going to be live for Rise and Roll on twitch.tv. We're live?
/Initiative Coffee Co.
All right, Krafa, are you recording? Let's get this show on the road. Hello? Dave?
Hello?
Are you there? Are you recording, Dave? We're live on Twitch and behind the scenes on YouTube, but we're ready to record the full dealio, which we later upload in maximum quality to youtube.com/Initiative Coffee Company. So,
All right, let's do the intro.
Hey neighbors, the handyman here with Initiative Coffee Company. The Bill Allan here with Bill Allan World and the Bill Allan. We've been missing for a couple weeks.
we've been busy for a couple weeks, Brian, but it's time
to rise and roll.
Meow.
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 Elliot is here. Elliot Gallon Nodal.
We are live on Twitch. Yay, it's Emrys. Live on Twitch. Hello, everybody. We're not starting the show officially. You're just clocking in with us behind the scenes. We've got a jam-packed episode. Dave is telling us to hold on a second. My glasses are filthy, Karafa.
Sorry to hear that.
Like,
You say that if it's somehow Karafa's fault.
well, when in doubt.
That's true.
All right, go ahead, start it.
Okay, Brian, we have been away, and people,
For
we've
far
been
too
away,
long.
but it's because we've been busy, and we've
That's
come
true.
back with treasures and information and new connections. It was It's been an exciting past few
A
weeks,
thrilling couple of weeks.
and exhausting.
And yeah, an exhaustive couple of weeks.
Yes,
Yeah.
we put in about 50 to 55 hours at GaryCon in work. Not just like we were awake for that much time.
Right.
I'm saying 15-hour days,
laborious task.
3 days a week. Yeah. So it was crazy busy. But we met a lot of cool people.
Mm-hmm.
We found out a lot about a lot of interesting things. And, you know, we did all the video content, so there's so much to recap. But, Brian, before we get into the GaryCon recap, which could probably be its own episode,
Could be.
let's just zoom through a couple quick Kickstarters.
Couple of quickies.
So the first one I'm going to bring up, Dave, when you have a free chance, go ahead and creep up on this for me. This is West Virginia, a bestiary of cryptids and paranormal entities. This is a first... No, it's not. It's not a first-time thing. What? Where does it say?
It should be in the About section, right? Usually it's in the top left.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it was created and it funded.
Awesome. Did
Yes.
we meet these guys?
We did.
Yeah.
So this is created by Kristen Puckett, who is the daughter of Tracy Puckett
Tracy
of
Puckett.
Dungeons and Coffee. And Dungeons and Coffee is
They're moving a little bit close to my lane here.
well, he doesn't sell coffee.
Oh, okay.
He just drinks it on the show.
That's fine.
Yeah. So this is I'm so excited. They had a very reasonable goal of $5,000, Brian.
Oh wow.
And they achieved $7,528. It funded. And people at home, I'm proud to say, I actually bought into this one.
Wow.
Yeah. I got in the last day, like literally with hours to spare. And I pledged at the level that gets me the hardcover book.
Cool.
So we have some things to look at. Back to the computer, Dave. This is a short video about it, but I want to just say that the reason why I like this is that it's not yet just another fantasy Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy role-playing game monster compendium of some kind. This is specific to American folklore and very specifically to West Virginia.
Cool.
And there are going to be expansions.
The
we have
expectation is to do one for each state, right?
Yes, we talked with Tracy, and he kind of gave us the overview, that the insider's perspective. So let's watch this video, shall we?
The insider's perspective you only get with us or whoever else. Talk to Tracy.
How's that audio, Dave? Hello? Am I talking to a shoe? I feel like nothing's happening. Oh, there. Are you getting any audio? God, talk back to me. Time to take a quick behind-the-scenes tour. Dun, dun, dun. There's Brian. Dun, dun, dun. There's the Black Magic cameras. Dun, 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 dun. There's Ryan working hard. There's Tony. You guys know Tony from D&D with high school students. Keep it clean, O'Malley. There's Albert.
Hello.
There's Matthew. Here's Dave.
Cryptozoology.
There's the Black Magic Switcher.
Many mysterious objects.
Sponsored by Black Magic. Here's the whole operation you guys just saw more than anyone's ever seen. Deep inside of the...
Places.
LTV bowels.
Places you can be.
I love Black Magic. Black Magic, give us more stuff.
Black Magic, you're my father.
That's right. So now I'm going to go back into the studio because I think this video is almost over. Watch out. I just wish I had some coffee or some more breakfast. Okay, so it sounds good. Sounds good in there. This is basically where she's explaining her interest in art and cryptozoological things. And we're back to the wide shot. Anytime. There we go. So Dave, just showed you this video. Brian, the art is really cool. I like
Sure.
her style,
Yeah, I
number
do
one.
too.
And we got some cool things.
Oh, cool.
Here, hold those up. So these are just like some sample pages, right? And this is a original Apple Devils.
Cool.
I can't see the thing.
Cool.
They love
I like
fruit
these a
and
lot.
they're invisible. So it's not just monsters, these are like creatures. So
Right.
What do I like about this? I mean, first of all, yes, you can incorporate this into your gaming campaign. And what settings? Any number of settings. Like, you could do D&D, Call of Cthulhu, any kind of, like, Revolutionary War thing, any era.
That would be really cool, like a Revolutionary or Civil War game where, like, it's not about the Revolutionary or Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like, the White Wolf games with Vampire and Werewolf.
Yeah.
Like, this could expand
like some of
that.
this stuff already is like Utena is already a thing in Werewolf, right? So like you expand that.
But I think
that
it's
paradigm.
just this kind of style. So I don't know, Dave, on my camera, can you see this? Like, can you see this stuff if I hold it up? This one probably has some glare because it's in plastic. This was a GaryCon exclusive. But I'm telling you, I didn't just back this because Tracy is a friend. I backed it because I really think it's unique. Like, I think
see a
it's
lot of
cool. Yeah, you know, so much, Brian, this is like a side topic, but it's related. I'll figure out a way to reel it back in. You know how, like, so much of D&D throughout the ages is kind of based on, like, medieval Europe. You know what I mean? And yes, they do have, like, expansions like, you know, Karatur,
The unapproachable
yes,
East.
yes.
Like, yeah.
But that's, like, just based on Asia, right? So, but, like, I feel like so much of, like, D&D, Greyhawk, all that stuff is based on medieval Europe, and there's a reason for it because the early war gamers,
We're
like,
playing
Yeah.
European war games.
yeah. So, but this is cool. This is truly American. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, maybe it is folklore that might have migrated from Europe and evolved in America to take on its own meaning.
But it has a meaning here.
It has a meaning,
Like,
number
that's
one.
what's
Number two, it's all original art, which is amazing. It's like, I love the style. You made an excellent comment when we were looking at these with Tracy. It was almost like the Diary of a Madman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, totally Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Like, you could totally, this is, like, you could take one of these, any one of these entries and make an entire story arc about it, right?
These are cool.
What's that thing that you were doing, the Monster of the Week thing? Couldn't this also fit into that genre?
Yeah, I mean, Monster of the Week is largely anything.
But anything, but the concept being that, like,
Right.
you know, if you pick out the Vegetable Man or the Apple
expectation-
Devil.
Honestly, my expectation, and it doubles off the fact that the first one is in West Virginia, is that the inspiration for this book came from Adventure Zone,
Yeah.
which is set in West Virginia. It's about cryptids. Like, it's a current game, like a modern day game. But this is cool. Like,
Danny clocking in on the chat also love that art style. Yeah.
here's what's exciting to me
Yeah.
is if they go through with this full game plan.
Right, and they do West Virginia, and
If
he
they
was
do-
talking
if
about
they do
other
all
ones.
50 states, like, that is not just from a tabletop gaming standpoint, but from a historical standpoint. That is the first full collection of American folklore that is this comprehensive that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you see, like, the big, like, I don't know, 300-page children's books that are like Johnny Appleseed and Paul Bunyan, but you don't see, like, 300 pages per state. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm excited at the notion of them trying, and it's an ambitious project. I'm excited that they're trying to pull it off because it means we'll have a full, comprehensive, like, catalog of American folklore.
Yeah, and this I think is this is not a first. So she's done other things. Monsters, Myths, and Folklore of Appalachia coloring book, which now leads to this, which is way bigger. So one of the things that I thought was interesting, bro, is that depending on the pledge level, you could get the book with all the art and the stories, and it doesn't have game stats.
Really?
Really. So
That's
my
cool.
pledge level is actually not game stats. It's just the book. And I'm totally happy with that. Like, I don't feel deprived. Like, I'm paying $40 to get 4 prints,
Right.
not these copies, but like 4 more like
right.
these that are unique.
Can you share that link again?
Yeah. Let me post it in all the things. And, you know, so for $40 Fleeing Apple Devil, I pledged I get 1 physical copy of the bestiary, 4 signed prints. And this copy is a special first edition with unique cover, only available to purchase by backing this product. So because I'm a backer, I get this special copy, and like they might sell other copies, but
Right,
you know,
it won't be this one.
and then you know, name in the book with comment. That's kind of cool. Coming December, which is great. Happy Christmas to Bill.
Yeah. So what?
So if I wanted the ebook bestiary, ebook RPG bestiary, that for $40, I could get both of those as ebooks. The $100 level gets you the special collector's edition hardcover bestiary.
Is that the one with monster stats, or is that the one that you did?
It's the one I get. Access to the meetup. Oh, maybe, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. They're doing like meetups and stuff too.
Yeah, they're doing meetups. They're doing, I mean,
They're really trying to build a community around
stickers. Like, yeah, I am so excited. Like, this is so rad. Oak of the Palidae, the bestiary,
this.
the RPG bestiary.
Looks like the 150 price point is where the hard book for all this stuff comes.
Yeah, so you get, well, it's really 2 books. You're getting the physical copy of the regular bestiary, the RPG bestiary, 5 signed prints, and original artwork.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah.
so not a print of that, but originals.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
that's even not bad. I mean, that's, and then it goes up from there, and there's a, you know, additional kicks that you can do. Good Lord, this goes up a lot higher. But see what I mean? Like, I didn't need to blow $150 to be happy with this. Like, I'm going to be very happy having a physical book
And I'm
with
sure
all
that
these
there
things.
are people who would love to spend $600 on this Kickstarter.
Right, and frankly, Brian, for somebody like me, I don't need stat blocks. I can decide how powerful or not powerful I want these things to be, and then just implement stat blocks for whatever. If I'm playing Call of Cthulhu 2nd edition Chaosium, you know, or White Wolf version, or D&D 5th edition, it doesn't really matter. I need the art. I need the descriptions. I think that's what's going to make it cool. And this is going to be a great thing on the shelf and a great reference book. So,
Morning, DoD.
yes. Good morning. So we're moving on, Brian, because
move on.
that was, so we didn't meet Kristen Puckett, but we met
her dad.
her dad,
Yeah.
who is a friend and who does Dungeons and Coffee YouTube channel, mostly focusing on terrain crafting, but also like table topics and stuff. So the next thing was we actually met a creator named Todd, who walked up to us, introduced himself, and we got the Beastlands Monster Generator, the prototype. He basically gave us
the original
a book,
which
and
I don't have with me right now.
his his conversation starter was interesting to me. He's like, "Here you go, monsters." He's like, "That's all code," and I was like, "What?"
What?
And I'm like expecting it to be code,
Right.
but it's not. It's like monster descriptions and
Stat
stat blocks. I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean?"
There's
He's
no
like,
descriptions. It's only stat blocks.
yeah, he made it with code.
Yeah.
So the idea of Beastlands Monster Generator is, I'm not going to show the 3.5 minute video, Dave, so just stick with me here. The idea is that he has created a system where he has, using code, created unique monsters, whole blocks of unique monsters, right?
And by using code, I mean every copy of the book is a new copy of the book, because every individual print of the book is procedurally generated.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine this now, and it's set up to be compliant with 5th edition. So, you know, he said, like, the generator makes 285 monsters spread evenly between challenge rating 1/8 to 26th, and 14 monster types within minutes.
It's cool.
So it's super cool. It's super, like, for those of you in the world of math nerdery who love the crunch, this guy is your Einstein, dude. He's like the guy grinding away to create, you know, something that will blow anything out of the water because it's made by AI.
Right. It's cool. We got the chance to look at it, and
It's encyclopedic.
yeah, it's cool. I mean, you have to like. It gives you stats, right? And that's all it gives you. Right?
And it's like the opposite of this, right? So like this is more like it gives you the lore and the history and the art. His Beastlands generator is just math, blah.
Right.
But it allows you as a DM then to take that and go
and skin your own monsters.
I'm going to skin my own stuff, right? It gives you the engine,
Yeah.
So
it also means your players don't know every individual
Yes.
monster in the monster manual. It means that like they're not going to be using.
Beastlands provides
knowledge.
creatures that the players will have no knowledge of. It is like having the magical feeling of running into epic monsters all over again. And we talked with Todd. Like I had repeat conversations throughout GaryCon with him. I love everything about this concept. I love the fact that here's a guy who's combined his knowledge of programming and his love of math with tabletop stuff. I think it's the Maelstrom of Monsters with 285 monsters. Like that's
a lot.
It's a lot, and it's also promised to estimated delivery December 2019, right? And if you cut back to, oh yeah, good, Dave, you're on the computer. Here's a sample page, right? So it's got its own kind of cool system that will look familiar to anybody who's used to like anything from D&D 3.0 on up.
Yeah.
Right? Very similar kind of.
You should not expect a lot of like graphics. You should not expect a lot of like high-end art because that's not what this book is about.
Right. For $15, you could get the PDF, which is pretty reasonable.
Considering it's giving you a PDF that is the only copy of your PDF.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It goes up from there. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And you know what, Brian? Actually, the pledge levels are very reasonable.
Sure.
You know, like there's early beta. You know, there's like for $35 you get like a lot more stuff. Like it's kind of that strategy. The strategy is good, right?
Yeah.
Like stretch
Let's talk
goals.
about the end goals.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's all everything that should be there is there.
Right.
Here's the problem. There's 16 days to go. He's only raised $605 and his pledge goal is $12,000. Now, Brian, he actually shows a pie chart that explains Beastlands funding breakdown. So again, this guy has a video, he's got all the graphics, samples, he's got a lot of different pledge level options.
And it's exciting to see another pie graph of where that money goes. We
Yes.
saw the first one of these the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem here is that $12,000.
Yeah.
I think that's ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really ambitious. I feel like it would have been smarter to set a goal of like $4,000 and then blow past that goal. Like I think his $12,000 goal means that he ain't gonna get paid. I hate to say that, but I feel like he's not gonna achieve this.
If $4,000 isn't covering his costs, he's gonna lose money on a Kickstarter, right?
Right.
Like that's the consideration to make with these, because like when you hit your goal, there's an expectation you're gonna follow through, right? So I don't know where that $12,000 goal is coming from.
I mean, he
Yeah,
breaks
like
it
the
down.
breakdown here.
You know, data and coding costs 46%.
But it sounds like it's
Illustrations and artwork is 15%. Fees and credit cards. So really, I'm going to be honest. His true costs are not the data and coding costs.
Sure.
That's paying himself.
Yeah.
I mean, to be quite honest, that's
Yeah.
paying himself.
And I'm not suggesting he shouldn't make money off.
Oh,
this,
of
'cause
course.
He's put a lot of work.
Yes,
in.
he should. But the problem is that I think he set a goal of $12,000. He's not going to achieve, and now he's not going to make anything.
It looks like $6,000 of that is
paying himself. I feel like it would have been smarter to set a goal of $4,000 or $5,000, achieve that goal, and then build up momentum through a really well strategized, and this is his first, so it's a learning lesson. So here's the thing. If you like monsters and stat blocks and all that kind of stuff, and you like the idea of being able to have a whole new compendium of stuff to surprise your players with, back this for $15. Back it because you'll get the PDF, and yeah, physical book's great, but this isn't giving you art,
Right.
so who cares about the physical book?
Like art is broken down in the pie chart, but like I don't know how he's gonna do art based off of procedure.
And he's got like, you know, stickers and like who cares about that stuff, honestly? Like I think
people, but
I mean they do, and I'm look at me, I'm like, hey, you know, but stickers. But I mean my point is that for $15 you can back this thing, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind. I'm gonna paste this into the description. If you're live with us on Twitch, or if you're watching this later on YouTube,
we'll drop it.
It will be in the description, as all things always are. But the point is I feel like it's going to be a tough go for Todd to get to that $12,000 mark.
I agree.
I mean, good luck, man. Hopefully you'll hit it, but you know you got to be.
It's a cool Kickstarter.
It really is. I think it's got a lot of potential, but it's. I fear that $12,000 mark. And Kickstarter's all or nothing, man. Yeah. So if you don't hit that, you're not getting any of it. Yeah. So what do? Relaunch? Or do you just bite the bullet and say like, well, I just spent 1.5 years coding this and now I'm not getting anything? Right.
Find somebody else who wants to buy the code maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So that is that's kind of the thing. So Brian, it's time to switch back to GaryCon. So let's recap. GaryCon, we got in Thursday. We set up video. We shot video. We were responsible for the streaming room and recording most of the panels in the panel room, in one of the panel rooms. 45 hours. So Thursday was 15-hour day. Friday was 15-hour day. Saturday 15-hour day. Sunday was the better part of probably 8 hours. And it was epic, man. I mean, on the one hand, you know, we met a ton of cool people.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously all of the celebrities, like we pretty much met, you know, everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody was cool. I'm trying to think if there were any like dicks, but not really. Like the people who you might think would be dicks were maybe the most down to earth. Like, I don't know. There were a lot of cool people.
Yeah,
but
there were cool people.
But then, beside the people who we met in the panels and who we met on the streams, like, we just met a lot of like cool people. Yeah. Like
and I think that's GaryCon, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. So for people who haven't been to GaryCon, it's so this is our second year. Mm-hmm. Last year
Your third year.
Right, but last year we ran games. This year there was no time for running games. Yeah. But I feel like it was really, it's so different from a bigger convention, right? Like Gen Con is cool for the Gen Con reasons. Right. GaryCon is another experience entirely. And I think even though I didn't get to play or run any games, it's just it's like the community and the vibe of being there.
And
like
it's fostered from the top down, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that Gen Con or that GaryCon is one of the few cons that like doesn't have table fees.
Yeah, once you get your badge,
right? Like Gen Con, you buy a badge and then you pay a table fee for every table you sit at. The same way, the same thing goes for Origins. Sometimes that's a $2 table fee,
sometimes
but it's a table fee.
10.
Sometimes it's 40. You know, if it's like a private game or whatever. GaryCon is very transparent about the fact that if you buy a badge, you can sit at a table.
I mean, and there were, so based on just last year, 1 year, significant growth, right?
Yeah.
So there's a part of the lodge that's like the very farthest part where they have the forum, and it's just massive conference space, right? That they divide up with like these curtains.
Yeah.
Last year, the entrance to the forum was like kind of an open space where there was like concessions, and there was like a LARP group, a local LARP group that set up an entire like war camp and they had like LARPing happening. This year, that was not the case. There were tables because they're literally running out of space.
I
Like,
didn't even get a chance to see the forum this year.
well, I was only down there because our hotel room was literally the last one. Like, you'd walk through the brick wall and then you'd be out. But I was like shocked, man. I mean, they're table upon table upon table. And this, by the way, this is separate from the Adventures League stuff. So this is like any role-playing game being run by anyone.
Or tabletop. There's a lot of
Tabletop board games. There were people running games that I haven't seen in 30 years, like TSR games or first edition games of Boot Hill, Gamma Worlds, Top Secret. Side note, Top Secret. Merle Rasmussen, the inventor of the original Top Secret, and now the Renaissance man who's returned to rebuild the New World Order Top Secret game that has been launched. He was there. That was cool. But yeah, I mean, there's so many
Did
tables.
Did he remember you from Gen Con?
He said he did, but
He didn't.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. I mean, like, dude, he's
Yeah.
Merle. He's like a legend. Who am
Right.
I? But like that was the thing that was cool is that there's just so many, and they have the system where like if they have an open spot at a table, somebody reserved it, but then they didn't show.
Or the
you have a
table
little
didn't fill, yeah.
flag, so you got the green flag. They had I would say a lot of the tables had openings. A lot of the games being run were newbie friendly. There were whole family friendly areas.
Oh, wow.
Like I saw where like people had brought their kids. I saw one that was a pop up. So and then on top of all those rooms, there's just pop up tables everywhere,
Yeah.
right?
And
I saw a pop up table where a kid who was maybe 11 or 12 years old was running a game for a bunch of adults, and this kid was killing it. She was like, I'm walking by and I stopped just to listen. She's like narrating the encounter and stuff like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just like that kind of feel like you're genuinely having like a little, a vacation that is fun for everybody, and it's not so much about like the scene.
Yeah.
It was really more about the games and the community, and a lot of the old masters are there because a lot of them still live around there.
In Wisconsin, yeah.
David Zeb Cook, who was a fundamental member of TSR and driving force behind just crazy amounts of content from more like second edition D&D, right? Tim Kask, a lot of the artists, Darlene the artist, Larry Elmore, Margaret Weiss, authors, artists, writers, anybody connected to the games, like they were all there, and just like they're there, and you could walk up and talk with them. We had some really cool panels that we shot, and by the way, all this stuff will be coming out on the GaryCon channel. So. But like it was cool. You know what? Even though I didn't get to play this year, it was just cool to see people. I'd run into people that we know from like YouTube and stuff, from the gaming communities online, and stop and chat with them. That's how we ran into Tracy and Lita, a couple times, and that's how we ended up learning about the Kickstarter. And
we got the opportunity to shoot a little bit of a video with Jason and Joel from Realmsmith.
Well, and that was like
up on your channel.
You had been communicating more with Jason for a while online and stuff about collaborations and stuff because Realmsmith does the crates, and then we didn't find out until the day before that they were going to be like a stream sponsor.
Right.
So, which was amazing, right? So like Stefan Picorni's running first edition D&D on a hammered game table with a buttload of Dwarven Forge terrain. And Jason comes in full like armor and regalia, and then Jason and Joel present these like special custom crates for the players at the game. And we got to talking with them, and there's we ended up having that interview with them talking about their stuff, and it really, I think that the GaryCon vibe is about just like hanging out with people, meeting cool people, talking about their projects. I mean, even, that guy Todd. Like, Todd comes up with the monster, Beastlands monster generator. And, I'm like, where would I have run into somebody who invented something like that and had a chance to sit with them and talk,
Right.
at a convention?
Yeah.
And certainly at Gen Con, we had a little bit of that. Like, I actually bought a few board games from the inventors of those board games
Right.
who were demoing them at Gen Con, and it was fun. Like, me and, a few of the students picked up some of those. Another great thing was being able to collaborate with Dragon Talk, which that came together like maybe a month before GaryCon.
Yeah.
But it was like, at one point we were like, okay, we're going to be doing the streaming room and the panels, and then Greg Tito and Shelly end up, booking the mornings. So they had a bunch of different cool guests. Again, some legends like, David Zeb Cook, Margaret Weiss. They had Stefan Picorni on there.
They had at least one Emmy Award winner.
Yeah, they had me on there. That was I was honored to be filler. Like, they're like, oh, this guest isn't around. Do you want to be on the show? I was like, yes, absolutely. Thank you. I will talk about our program and LionCon and all the other things. And then Latio was on there, and so like it was cool to be able to collaborate with them. And I think even for them, they're in the seat of power, and for them to be able to do Dragon Talk at GaryCon was good. To see another side of D&D other than just Seattle and LA.
I know that part of the reason I was in Wisconsin doing a shoot in December for them was because Greg is putting an earnest focus into like experiencing tabletop in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And just places that aren't the West Coast.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's easy when you're on the West Coast to kind of get so focused on how D&D is played on the West Coast that you forget that there's this whole other world out there that people like to play the game in. Right?
Yeah.
So, and whether that's, talking to some of the folks from the GNS crowd, talking to Tito, talking to some other folks from out on the West Coast, everybody knows that there's more, but nobody really knows how to tap into that.
And I think we're in a position where, because Chicago's kind of between Indy, for Gen Con, and it's really close to Lake Geneva, and not too far from
Twin
Ohio
Cities
and
and
Origins and all that stuff. Like, we are in a good position to be able to kind of grow. And so here's the takeaway that I had, and I want to hear your big takeaway. Obviously, next year we are hoping, and I feel like it went really well, and we got kudos from Luke Gygax, and he's basically our boss on this. I feel like it went really well, and I'm hoping that next year we'll be able to do this again with GaryCon. But I also feel like, from an educational standpoint, like, I want to block out time off camera for my students that I bring to crew to be able to play games a little bit more. That's the one thing that I wish I could have had a little more time carved out for. And maybe next year, with the right budgeting and staffing, we'll be able to do that. Because I feel like it would have been awesome for, like, Beecher to run a session of Waterdeep, or just a pop-up one-shot. Or even, if they were game for it, I think it would be cool to have the high school students play in a game run by one of the celebrities, and we were talking with Rudy about doing that maybe, So, I mean, bottom line is GaryCon is awesome, and it's all about gaming. And I think that translates through the video, but I think it's also one of those things where, as good as the video is, and I'm the video guy,
right?
But as good as the video is, you have to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, so that you can get autographs.
The video is only one component.
It's only one component.
You know what I mean?
And it's not just about getting autographs with, Mercer and Manganiello and all that stuff, which I didn't do. I'm so stupid. I had my player's handbook, and I didn't ask anybody but we got a picture with them, and that was cool. And they were great to work with. But really, it's not about that. I think Gen Con would be about that, but I think GaryCon was about the games. Like, I would love to sit in on a few games. I'd love to run some games, and I'd love for my students to be able to play with people that aren't just their peers at this high school. Because there were, like I said, a lot of kids, a lot of high school kids, a lot of college kids, and then some old masters, dude. Like, I want to play with the old masters.
Right.
Like, TPK me, please. Like, I want,
I mean, not just the old masters, but like Tito was running tables,
Yeah.
Burles was running open table.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was cool. And I think that is one of the things that makes GaryCon special is that it's smaller and that you just, people are just down to play.
right.
What do you feel like was your cool moment or takeaway or something that was memorable?
Everything was. It was hard for me to kind of like take time away to focus on cool moments just because we were so busy. I think after the fact, so last year we went to 7 different conventions, ran tables or signed up to run tables for 5 of them. Actually ran tables at 4 of them, right? And GaryCon, along with Origins, were the 2 conventions where like tables filled and like I really got a chance to like sit down and play with new players.
Yeah.
And I think like not necessarily sitting and playing at tables, although I would love to play more because I don't play often enough relative to how much I run, but the opportunity to run tables and like not only promote the setting, but also like
test it
and like get to know people, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, to me, that's the most interesting part about sitting down at a table is like seeing the other people at the table and getting to know them and how they tick and really embracing the community aspect of the game. So I wish I would have had time to do more of that.
You know what's funny? This is related to what you said, but you triggered a memory. So remember last year I was running my game and there's that guy who came in late, and then he was kind of like a dick, and he kind of trolled my game, but it was fine. But it made me think that like even at GaryCon, you're gonna
right.
It's the whole community, people. It's a microcosm, and the community does have trolls,
right?
And people who will intentionally mess up your game because they like to be disruptors. But that's good practice. If you want to hone your skills as a DM, you got to be able to handle everybody. In a perfect world, every player would be like totally engaged and not distracted by their phones. And they'd be like, yes, tell us the next part of the narrative. And they'd be into their characters, right? Well, not every gaming experience is going to be like that.
Right.
But doing con stuff is a great way to hone your skills. And
it gives you a better appreciation for the tables you have that aren't
dicks.
that aren't dicks or just that are engaged, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a dick to not be engaged.
Right.
But like I remember last year the first table we ran at GaryCon was like old school first edition players who were just there to huck dice and number crunch. And that's not what the setting is built around, right?
Right.
And so it was just like not really a fun game for me. It meant that we got through a 4-hour module in an hour 20. Like, it wasn't exciting for me to run. I kind of felt burnt out afterwards after one game. Like,
yeah.
And I wasn't like excited about the event. And then the next day I had 3 amazing tables,
Yeah.
So like it really gives you an appreciation when you have those rough tables that you just kind of have to slog through. It gives you a real good appreciation for like the tables you have that you don't. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
And I think that hopefully next year we'll have a little more time or balance. Maybe we can get up there Wednesday so that we have some more time. But we'll
have more rooms so we can get enough staff up there to cover it.
And that's the other thing too. Even if it's not an officially scheduled game,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to run a pop-up.
Right.
Like I'll bring my own folding table, like
Right.
this table,
Right.
and just run a pop-up. I think it's cool. And I saw so many of those things where like somebody's running a game in a hallway and people just be like, hey, you got an open seat? And like, that's fun. That's really cool.
And I will say that if you haven't gotten your room for GaryCon for next year, you're going to be off-site because the rooms opened up at 9 a.m. on Monday. By noon, they were sold out.
Yeah.
And that's the whole convention.
And don't wait. Like, find the Comfort Inn or one of the other, places that's a 10-minute drive away. Quick thing.
Yeah.
Still related to GaryCon, but kind of moving on. At GaryCon, you might have noticed, if you were watching in the streaming content, that behind the DM was rigged up a epic quilt. Nay, one could even call it a tapestry of history. And it was a bunch of GaryCon t-shirts and other GaryCon stuff that was made into a quilt. This was on loan from Tim Kask, the legendary TSR writer, developer of many things, the first and original editor-in-chief of Dragon Magazine, confidant of Gary Gygax, etc. Tim Kask's daughter made that for Tim, and now she has a business doing that. She doesn't have a website yet for it, but I have pasted it into the chat. It's quilts made by Carrie Kask Long at Carrie's Quilts.
Cool.
clung58@gmail.com. She makes quilts out of gaming t-shirts because you can't wear them all. That's so true.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm pretty sure she does like concert shirts and all that kind of stuff. So I might hit her up to do my concert shirts because I have a backlog.
LTTV shirts.
Yeah, I could do that. True. That's true. I have like a backlog of that stuff. But I think it was just kind of cool that, you know, keeping it in the family kind of thing, you know, local vendors. All right, speaking of vendors, still on GaryCon, we met Dan from Hammered Game Tables because he provided the feature table as part of the new Tavern series, right? This massive beast of a table.
This 8-foot table, yeah.
Huge.
That was actually 3 tables, he told me.
Right, so it's modular. So you can you could have 5 sections if you were just had that much space, right? But point being, like, it's the Tavern series is meant to look kind of cool and distressed and beat up and, you know, and aged and that kind of stuff. And it really did. It was kind of cool. And the family who commissioned that specific piece
owns
Axe and Shield.
Axe and Shield.
Yeah, so Axe and Shield,
who make these really cool modular altitude platforms for tabletop.
If you have flying encounters, they make like initiative. They have like initiative trackers. They have all sorts of gaming gear and accessories. But that was kind of cool to meet these people. And again, just going back to like, these are like really down to earth, you know, people who basically just like us, like who are, you know, trying to get something started, building a community, and just volunteering, like, you know, so much of their stuff to be able to kind of participate in this really cool event. So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anyone else, major people who like we kind of met.
You know, it's tough because GaryCon's not focused on vendors, right?
It's not.
There's not a lot of vendors there.
There's a vendor room, right?
There's 2.
And there's artist alleys, but they're it's not like Gen Con where it's like a massive conference, you know, convention room, you know. I think that there were a lot of cool things, and you know, I think I bought more stuff last year at GaryCon than I did this year because I simply didn't have the time.
Well, it was a lot of the same vendors, so you already bought the stuff.
Yes, true.
You know,
there was you know, just quite a few kind of cool vendors that have gaming stuff, and then a lot of vendors that just have kind of nerd swag.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to put them down, but it's like basically like I would not be surprised if I saw them in 3 months over summer at the Ren Fair.
Yeah.
Because, you know, their stuff is kind of generally geek appropriate, nerdish, like, whereas some of the vendors were very, very specifically game focused and tabletop stuff. So, but yeah. So anyway, GaryCon was amazing again. Looking forward to that.
Thanks to Greg Tito for this cool T-shirt.
Yeah.
I got a pink one too.
Yeah.
And I got 2 more D&D coffee mugs, so I have a full set now.
Yeah, so Greg Tito and Shelly gave us the things that they didn't want to ship back to Seattle. Yeah. So all of the students on the crew got a coffee mug.
Cool.
And carafa. And some more stickers. Yeah. And while we're speaking of stickers, they gave us like 4 copies of Dungeon Mayhem.
Yeah,
and the
Dungeon
students...
Mayhem is a cool game.
It's so...
Like,
I haven't
Shelly
played
gave
it.
me a copy at Gamehole Con.
Yeah.
2 days before it came out.
Wow. So you're like elite.
And it's a fun game. It's takes 20 minutes. I know the kids in the Friday night program, like one day they spent just 5 hours playing the game. So.
The kids here have been playing it during lunch every day since GaryCon. Like, and there's non-gaming kids now that are drifting in who like, I would rather spend my lunch playing this game than in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
So they're playing, which is cool. Like, that's Carafa actually pointed this out. He's like, look, they're playing without being told to play.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, Carafa, you're right. Like, it was kind of cool to see. So thanks to Dragon Talk and Wizards and Greg and Shelly for hooking us up with some more swag. We love that stuff. Brian, upcoming conventions. You have Lexicon, which is in Lexington, Illinois. That's kind of down by
down near Peoria.
It's a one-day thing down by Peoria.
Mostly like a community event, I think.
But it's hosted by a friendly local game store who wanted to start doing this stuff, and they have been growing steadily.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll take some coffee down and try to sell it.
Yeah, if you're in Central Illinois and you wanna, or anywhere near that,
right?
Look it up, Lexicon.
Yep.
D8 Summit.
D8 Summit is a huge event. Huge is relative. It's 1,300 people last year. My guess is they'll be closer to 1,500 this year. And Utica, Illinois.
Okay.
It's a benefit for Illinois River Valley PADS, which is an organization that focuses on homeless populations and tries to make sure that families stay together through that homelessness scenario until they get back on their feet.
Yeah, and a little bit closer to the Chicago area. For those of you, it's kind of out by Starved Rock. Utica's not far from that area.
And last year they, it's mostly an Adventures League event. They have some Starfinder Society, Pathfinder Society, but it's mostly organized play. We'll be there selling whole bean. We'll probably take some of our newest Help Action Roast with us.
Cool.
Which I can officially announce is a partnership with Jake from Mini Terrain Domain.
Yay!
And, supports a charity called Jasper's Game Day, which was started by now 16-year-old high school graduate named Fenway Jones in Michigan. We're really excited to be working.
And we saw Fenway at GaryCon.
Yeah.
She was awesome. She and her
everywhere.
dad were there.
She's everywhere.
She is.
In the scene in the Midwest. It's crazy.
That kid's prolific.
Yeah.
And then last but not least is Origins, Brian, coming up.
Yeah, we'll be there. I don't know
Talk
what we'll
about
be doing. It's in Ohio.
It's in Columbus?
Columbus.
Okay.
I
kind
think
of
we're
on the
gonna
bigger
go.
side of, I mean, that's a pretty big con.
So it's bigger than, I would say it's probably like a little smaller than GaryCon, but larger than like.
Oh, see, I thought it was.
Pinhole.
Okay. So it's way
No, you know
smaller
what? It
than
might
Gen
be-
Con.
It might be bigger than GaryCon. It is much smaller than
Much smaller. So it's
or
still a
than Gen
small
Con.
con, but that's in Columbus in when? June?
I have to double check.
Yeah.
It's either June or July.
Yeah. So that's coming up.
And I don't know what we'll be doing. We'll go because that's where we met up with Holly last year. So it seems like it's probably a good event to continue to attend.
And I probably won't go because I teach summer school, whether I like it or not. Hashtag contracts.
I feel like it wasn't during summer school last year.
If it's in June, I'm stuck. So, Brian, we have had, this is a hell of a show. Our fans will kill us if we don't talk about Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This is what we were going to talk about like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
And then we got busy.
But I think we're just going to have to do it. So Saltmarsh is a Greyhawk book, or it's a Greyhawk city. So officially, I mean, my guess is they're not porting it to Faerun, but last year they were talking about putting out a book in a brand new setting. My expectation is that Ghosts of Saltmarsh is that. It's organized very similarly to the Yawning Portal, so it's a series of pre-published adventures that have been updated for 5e at various challenge tiers. There is a cool limited edition cover for it, as with all of the new D&D books.
For those of you who need to have the cover.
Right. If you're interested in kind of checking out what Saltmarsh is, you can check out the Dungeon Master's Guide 2 from 3.5. Pretty much half that book is a description of Saltmarsh and all the buildings and businesses within.
Yeah, so it describes the kind of the mashup. So it combines some of the most popular classic adventures from the first edition of D&D, including the classic U series and some of the best nautical adventures from Dungeon Magazine. The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, Danger at Dunwater, The Final Enemy, Salvage Operation, Isle of the Abbey, Tamarot's Fate, and The Styes.
Yeah, so this is in tandem with the very substantial WizKids boat mini that they put out. The
Remember when we were looking at that and we were
Yeah.
like, that's so expensive.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch of people with them, so clearly it's not as expensive as I thought it was relative to
Well,
people's ability.
if you're watching along live, I'm pasting this in, and if you're watching this later, the link will be in the description below.
Right.
But I mean, definitely check out the information about it. I think
Here's the thing about these books, right? Is like, they're AL legal content, which
AL
like, Adventures
legal.
League legal content. So if
Yes.
you want to run Adventures League, I like the hard books a little bit more than the modules because there's a little bit more editing in them. The story is more coherently mixed throughout the book than in a typical season. But even if you don't play AL, there's a lot of interesting content you can play through the book, or look at the book and steal the ideas and run your homebrew, right? Like, I expect that I'll pick up Ghosts of Saltmarsh because there's a lot of sailing components in it.
Yeah.
And the Bard's Tale is on a series of islands. So, like...
Right. And, I mean, now, here's my question. From a standpoint of the 5th edition published books, do you feel like Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide is set up in the same way as this book might be set up?
No. I feel like this book is
Sword
far
Coast...
more similar to Yawning Portal.
Right. So, and what's the difference? So to me, the difference is a difference between, like in the old days, we would call them a source book, and then you'd have modules. And modules
Yeah.
were adventures. Source books gave you information about an area.
I think that's
But now
still
it's like
pretty
they're-
much the case. No, I think largely there's still source books and like module books, right? So like the source books are like there aren't many of them. So the source books are Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, Xanthar's Guide to Everything, Volo's Guide, and the new Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Okay.
And largely everything else.
So
aside
what
from
would
the core
what
set,
would Tomb of Annihilation be?
that's a module set.
So, but here's the thing,
There's
though.
there's
Source material about
there's some
Schultz.
source material in there, right?
Right.
But largely that book is meant to be a
Modules. So, but I feel like, for those of you who are old like me, I think what they did was they took standalone modules and instead kind of have compiled them.
Right.
So you have more of a ongoing campaign that connects adventures, and they give you the source material for the region in which these things are set.
Sure. So that's the case with a lot of the module books. I don't know that this is going to be the case. That's going to be the case for Saltmarsh. I mean, I don't know anything about Saltmarsh, but beyond like what they've officially declared.
But
if
does
it's
this
more in
mean,
line with
Brian-
Yawning Portal did not have that setting information.
But
was
does it
just
mean
kinda
when
like
you say
dropping-
porting it over? Let's speculate wildly.
Okay.
Does it mean, in fact, as you have asserted, that perhaps they are going to be reintroducing Greyhawk through this introductory campaign /
that's a good
module
idea.
setting? Or
They might do.
are they
going
going to port it over and Saltmarsh is now going to be set in blah, 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 Forgotten
No,
Realms
I don't
location?
think Saltmarsh is going to make the jump to Faerun because they've talked about a new campaign setting, right? Honestly, I don't really know how this is going to play out because there isn't a Greyhawk setting for Adventures League. So this might not even be Adventures League.
Right. Like,
I don't
how
know.
does your character, who's been playing through Yawning Portal or whatever, now suddenly magically find him or herself in Greyhawk?
And the answer is they don't. Right?
And they don't?
Like,
Because they say, this is the thing. They don't say it, and they don't not say it.
Yeah.
It's very clever. Like, they say, all adventures have been faithfully adapted to the 5th edition. Furthermore, this book includes details on the port town of Saltmarsh, as well as plenty of hooks to kick off each adventure.
They don't say what setting the book is actually taking place in, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You know,
We should have asked Merles while we were at Gary Con.
he wouldn't have been able to tell us.
We should have
I asked
fed him
Tito.
drinks until he was.
I asked Tito, and he said he didn't know. And I said, "You know," and he said, "Yeah, I know, but no."
All right, let's hypothetical this, Brian.
Sure.
All right, hypothetical number one.
Right.
This is going to be the first foray into the world of Greyhawk. So Wizards is going to open up the world of Greyhawk again and start publishing content.
Which they made a public statement about last year.
Okay.
So,
Are you feeling good about that? Apprehensive about it? What's your feeling on that?
I am for it, I guess. I don't know. The only concern I would have with that is like from an Adventures League standpoint. Because when the Eberron book came out, they put out a second kind of Adventures League track for Eberron. And I don't see them I don't see that as being successful enough for them to drop a whole third season 9 in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wizards of the Coast is bigger than Adventures League, so they don't. I mean, it's nice that they consider them, but like ultimately, they're gonna put out product they think they can sell. I like the idea of a new setting.
Yes.
I would have liked to seen a different setting. I don't know that Greyhawk is different enough from Faerun for me to really be satisfying in that way. I would rather have seen like a Dark Sun or.
Well, and then here's a question though: Are they? I mean, a lot of this is just they have the rights to this old content that they bought years ago,
Sure.
and now they're re-releasing it so that they have the ability to kind of remonetize it in effect, reskin it, update it, that kind of stuff. I don't have a fundamental problem with that from a business plan perspective, and I definitely think it appeals to the nostalgia from the old guys like me who are like, yay,
that's
Greyhawk!
What was the big thing about the Yawning Portal,
Right.
Is it was all these old adventure modules from like first, second, and third edition, and people were really excited about it because they could revisit, White Plume Mountain.
Yeah.
Which they hadn't played since second.
And a lot of those, maybe needed an updating because they were a little bit cheesy, and now the updates also kind of bring them back, so it appeals to the nostalgia, but it also kind of updates them and gives them a little more depth than they might have originally had 30 years ago.
Right.
All right,
my
so
expectation is that it will be a standalone. It will be the first of the Greyhawk setting. I don't know if it'll be a full source book / module, or if it will just mostly be like modules with a little bit about Saltmarsh, and then they'll put out splat stuff on DM's Guild.
Oh,
Like they did for Ravnica. Right?
Okay.
So
okay.
Ravnica came out on DM's Guild first, and or no, that's what happened with Eberron. Eberron, I don't think there's a hard book for Eberron. It's just on DM's Guild, and so they might put PDFs out to support like Greyhawk as a setting, and then put a hard book out. Put this out as like a hard book module series with a little bit of bonus info.
Right.
In the same way that like TOA, Tomb of Annihilation, had some bonus info on Schult, but ultimately was a module.
I think I'm okay with this new format. I think I feel like what they need to do for people, and like Waterdeep Dragon Heist, is it fair to say that that's kind of in this
The
same
way,
vein?
yeah.
So, for a kid like Beecher, to take that book and be able to run adventures with his friends, most of whom have not played D&D,
Right.
that gives him enough flavor and context and source material, but then also gives him the adventures, the modules.
And I would say that like setting information is a vastly different. I would say that's still part of the modules, right? Like I don't know that I would call it like a blended book, because when you look at the source books, you're looking at like essentially monster manuals and like bonus classes and new spells, right? Like Xanthar's Guide is like 3 new subclasses for each class, some feats, a series of spells. There's not like a lot of talking about the setting there, right? It's a setting neutral book, with the exception that Xanathar is a Forgotten Realms character.
Right.
Right? Or like same with like Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, like it's mostly a monster manual with 1 bonus race, like 1 extra race of elves and Gith, right? Like, it's not talking about any setting-specific stuff. It's setting neutral. Sword Coast Adventures Guide is a little bit different, I guess, because it is so focused on the Sword Coast setting. But it's also focused on, like, maritime play, right? Like, all the subclasses in there about, like, sailors or coastal subclasses, whatever. And then the spells are similar, the magic items are similar. For a book called The Sword Coast Adventures Guide, the Sword Coast doesn't have an overarching influence in the book. You know what I mean?
It's very, I felt like that was very thin, frankly. Like,
whereas,
very,
like, Tomb of Annihilation, like, is all Chult. And what happens in Chult.
And very, and you get a lot more context. Yeah. So, speculating wildly, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, like, maybe some Greyhawk. Maybe the delve into the Greyhawk world.
My guess is it will be focused on Saltmarsh. Right, it will be focused on the city, and that way you can take that city and
you
call
can
it
put
something
Saltmarsh
else.
in the Forgotten Realms.
Well, you can call it something else and
Right.
put it in any setting you want, right?
Right.
And it becomes setting neutral in that way.
Yes.
It just gives you a template for a city.
And honestly, just looking at the old modules from which all this is being born, there's a lot of that hearkening to the horror pulp genre.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very Cthulhu-ish ring. Like, Lovecraft wrote a lot about that kind of stuff in New England because they were on a coastal thing, and there was a lot of these old, like, mythological things. And I feel like you could take a lot of the story arcs and character elements and port that over into another setting.
Yeah, and I think Greyhawk is a more mature setting in general than Faerun, if I remember correctly. Like, we weren't really doing modules in 3rd edition, so I don't really know, like, all of the ins and outs. But from my understanding, Greyhawk was a little bit more mature and was, like, maybe the 1/4 or 1/3 point between Faerun and, like, a Dark Sun setting.
Yeah. It was definitely a rough and tumble kind of surviving element. Yeah. All right, people, do you know what time it is? It's time for Monster Monday. All right, Brian, we are going to use the crowdsourcing system. So people, if you're watching live, Brian and I, Brian will pay attention to the Twitch stream.
Right now.
We need a page number to hearken forth from the Monster Manual. We're going back, people.
Summon the Beast.
And I still, you know what I have to do is make a Google sheet of the monsters we've covered.
Yeah.
So we don't accidentally recover them.
Well, it's a good thing we're reposting Monster Mondays on our various channels.
That's right.
You can go back and look.
Yes.
If you want to catch up on old Monster Mondays, we're posting them to
while we're
YouTube
waiting
channels.
Okay.
On Thursdays.
That's right. When is Monster Monday reposts? I think it's on Monday.
No, is it Monday? I hope so.
It would be stupid if I failed. All right. Just getting caught up on the chat, too. Sorry, you guys. You guys have been awesome just listening, and Brian and I rattle on. I hope this episode's been interesting. DOD Spec Ops. Hey, how's it going? Friend Alex, hello. If you're still watching, thank you. Cooper, just finished S2 of The Bard's Tale last night. Good.
Awesome. Bard's Tale Season 3 is ready to watch.
Yes.
We got to schedule another shoot.
Online. Cooper, is that Craig? I don't know. Gotta get ready for work, blah, 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 blah. Nice way to go, kid. Not sure what that was about. Hello. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Logan. Thank you for checking in. Hey, Telia. Thanks for checking in. Hey, DOD Spec Ops. Of course, thank you. Let's see who else.
If you're in the Twitch chat, we're still waiting on a page number.
Yes. Hi, Bill. What do you teach? I teach film and television production. It's a media course at the high school level. But fortunately, I've figured out a way to teach how to play Dungeons & Dragons in a studio as well. What kind of statement did they make? I don't know when that's from. Matthew says, I'm in a group that in the first session of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, we threw the adventure off course and almost burned down the town. That can be some of the most fun times ever, right?
I'm currently playing a member of the Dragon Cult.
Yes.
In the series on the Dragon Cult.
Yes, yes, yes. Hello, La Porta. Hello. Hello, Thomas. Greetings from Germany. Guten Tag, or should I say Guten... I don't know. Anyway, Hey, Laporta, created a new character. Hey, anybody in either of these things want to give us a page number for the monster manual? Otherwise, I'm going to use some dice to generate a page number.
Between 12 and 350.
How about page 203? So that would be a 20 and then 3. What's on page 203, Brian? Lich. That's yours, Brian. And then Bill's is page 152. It's probably not any better, I'm afraid. Please don't let it be a demon of some kind.
It's a giant, Heller Stone giant.
Okay. All right, you want the Lich or do you want the giant,
I'll
Brian?
do the Lich, I guess.
Okay.
You
So-
guys, we need to come up with some page numbers that are like CR4s. Because all we're getting is like...
I think once we make the spreadsheet, we're gonna have to do a new system of, because like it's death. All right, Brian equals Lich, Bill equals Hill Giant.
I think I'm not going to do... And I know that I do this a lot. But I don't think I'm going to do a Lich as an encounter. I think, or as a combat encounter. I'm going to do a Lich as like an NPC, basically.
Okay, but challenge rating 21 means if it's a combat encounter, there's a very strong chance of
you're
people
looking
dying.
at a 17th level party.
Yeah.
Minimum. I would say you could probably get by on a 15th level party if there were 5 or 6.
Yeah.
For me, I'm thinking a Lich thinks long term and doesn't really care about...
Hold on. Cut to Brian. Cut to Brian's camera. Oh my God. I'm going to kill someone in the control room. Behind the scenes camera. Watch this. Oh, yeah, that's good. You think you could cut to... Or forget it. I'll do it myself.
You want me to do? You never told me to take over.
All right, go, Brian.
So I think for a Lich, I don't know if
We're almost done.
Okay.
So you sit here.
I will do it.
When Brian's done, cut back to the wide shot and listen for me, and then you'll cut to my shot. But no, stay on him the whole time while he's doing this, because this is going to be Monster Monday.
No, I was going to say, I'm just going to have this in preview.
Oh, now he's back. Let him finish. And then switch to my camera. God damn it, Rafa.
seems like a really good one if I'm a Lich that wants to get a hold of those artifacts when that group of people is no longer with us. So I think the Lich is going to actually probably seem like a beneficial character in a lot of ways. He'll reward the party, he'll put them on missions, he'll get them access to magic items. And then years after the party is no longer with us, the Lich will make his move and acquire all of those concentrated items and kind of start his presumably world takeover. But I think the idea of like fighting a Lich is like, I guess, iconic, but a little bit like boring and overdone to some degree. I don't know that like you're gonna do a better job than TOA did, or the Yawning Portal's Tomb of not Annihilation, whatever the last module in the Yawning Portal is. So I think just like using these monsters as resources rather than enemies, I think is an interesting take on classically overwhelming villains.
Excellent. And now it's time to cut over to Bill's camera, because I have to do the Hill Giant.
That's not Bill's camera.
Yeah, my camera, this one. Well, on Monster Monday for today, Brian, we have the Hill Giant. And I have thought of an interesting way to make the Hill Giant interesting. So for today's episode, I'm going to give you a Forgotten Realms specific encounter. Along the tradeway are a series of mountains and hills, rolling hills and mountains, where there are large caves. The hill giants that live there are part of the Bone Marrow clan, and they have protected this certain range of hills for quite a long time. The reason is that inside a valley around one of these hills is a microclimate that is particularly fertile earth and the right humidity levels and pH balance to grow a very specific kind of mushroom. And this mushroom is effectively, imagine like each bite of this kind of large mushroom is like a good berry, but better. So
A better berry.
a better berry, yeah. But it's a shroom, and it basically grows up the very damp, moss-covered, rotten, tree area of the interior of this valley. And these mushrooms not only provide sustenance, but they give you enhancements to your health. So they give you hit points, and they can cure specific diseases. So they're very rare. The hill giants aren't the smartest folk, though, and nor are they very kind to people intruding on their area. So the hill giants know the properties of these mushrooms, and they consume them from time to time, but they also don't exist off of an exclusively mushroom-based diet. So the problem is that an ambitious wizard wants to acquire these mushrooms because he's realized that they possess yet another benefit, and that they can be used as a component in a very powerful ritual. And this discovery has led him to wanting to acquire more of these mushrooms. Now, he could just fly in there himself and wipe out the hill giants and take all the mushrooms. But the problem is that he doesn't want to completely ruin the microclimate and the landscape upon which these things grow, number one. Number two, part of what makes the earth in this area, the soil, so fertile is the poop of these specific hill giants. There's something in their DNA that makes their poop more nutritious and nitrate rich to the soil, and that helps these mushrooms grow. So it's all of these small factors together, and the wizard can't disrupt that balance, otherwise the mushrooms won't grow. But what he wants to do is hire a party of adventurers to go sneak into the Valley of the Hill Giants. And what happens then is up to you, because you're the DM. All right, that's it. That's my Hill Giant adventure.
That's Monster Monday.
So thanks for watching. If you watched live and participated with us on the live stream here on Twitch, thank you. We appreciate your follower supportship. What's the word, Brian? Your support?
Support?
Yes. And support friendship. Your supportship.
Yeah.
And
we're on YouTube, Initiative Coffee Company. We're on Patreon, Initiative Coffee Co.
Yes.
You can support us at either one.
Or on the other things, Instagram, the Twitters, follow retweet. We appreciate it.
Check out our website and buy some coffee. We'll have new coffee up very soon.
Please do, because coffee is, just on a side note, at GaryCon, there was a lot of coffee drinking.
There was a lot of coffee drinking. There was also a competitor, Smuggler's Coffee, which they're all right guys, I guess. But they need to stay in their lane.
Yes. So we appreciate you following and enjoying this. If you are watching this later on the youtube.com/Initiative Coffee Company website, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Please click on the bell to
Leave
get
some
notifications.
comments.
Yeah, leave us comments.
We're not big enough yet that I don't have the time to respond to virtually every comment. So if you want some YouTube gratification, leave
You know
a
what
comment
else?
on an Initiative Coffee Company video.
If you have a specific monster
Oh, please.
that you want us to Monster Monday,
We'll do it.
do that. Because then we don't have to do the random system.
Yeah.
So be like, yo, Brian and Bill, I have an adventure coming up and I need you. God damn it. See, hags. We already did that. I need you to. Nope,
Merfolk.
we did that. I need you to do a myconid, speaking of mushroom people.
Yeah.
So, leave us comments and let us know if you like or dislike things. Let us know if you have any ideas about table topics that you'd like us to talk about. Any DM tips, GM tips, what to do with problematic players. All those things that you would normally do a YouTube search for, just put the question for us. Ask Brian and Bill, because we know more. I could say definitively that I know more than anyone else on YouTube. Colville doesn't know shit compared to me.
Colville knows his own games very well.
Colville's nice. He was really
He's
nice.
a cool guy.
When we met him at Gen Con, he was like, "Oh, Bill Allan."
Don't start a fight with Colville.
I was like, "You recognize me."
You'll ruin my dreams if you start a fight with Colville.
No, you know what? Everybody has a different perspective. How about that? So Colville's great, you know, and Andrew at Dawn Forge Cast and Cody and all the other people that are making DM tips. But ask us, because we have unique
We have
perspectives.
60 years of gaming experience.
That's right.
I won't give you the breakdown about who has 40 years and who has 20, but you could guess.
But let's just say that we know the answer. And if we don't know it,
we'll bullshit our way
yes,
through it.
it'll be the best bullshit session you've ever experienced. So that's it, people. Thank you for watching. Thank you for